Hello, my name is Paul Tallett. I'm the developer of Modern File Explorer, and I'm here to tell you about the new Windows 10 version. So if you've upgraded from the Windows 8 version and you're finding it a lot less cluttered, that's because I've really tried hard to make it less cluttered, but all of the functionality from the Windows 8 version is in the Windows 10 version and a lot more. So if you're having difficulty, you could try uninstalling and reinstalling the app. That does sometimes help, but do email me with problems. Send it to support@modernfileexplorer.com. I do read that quite a lot, and I get quite a lot of email, and it's good to get your feedback. If you've got any feature requests, I've put quite a few features in through requests from users. So here's the default view that you'll get when you first start Modern File Explorer. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color. So if I go into settings and go to appearance, I can change the color and make it dark. I really like these dark themes, but you can also go mad and add your own picture and change the background to something that's completely different. And you can also change the transparency and modify that. So let's go with this dark theme. Quite nice. And if I go into my pictures folder here, you see I've got all my pictures, and selection in Windows 10 is a little bit different to on Windows 8. I've got this square at the corner of each file, and you just click on those to select the files, and you can do multiple select and things like that. Then once you've selected a few files, the buttons light up at the top, and I can then do things like cut or copy. And so I could copy those and go to save pictures, for example, and paste them in there. And I've got cut and paste to move files around. Obviously, I could do cut, and then that would move them, which is a lot quicker if they're large files than copying them and deleting them, because it just moves the directory entry. So that's cut and paste. We've also got rename, so I can click on rename and rename this file to something more meaningful, and delete deletes to the wastebasket, but you can change that in settings. And also I can add a new folder, so I can go in here and say new folder and create a new folder, test folder, and that will create me a new folder, and then I can obviously go into there. I can also drag and drop, so I can pick a file up, drop it on test folder, and that'll move it in there, or I can drop it on the tree and drop it into test folder and move it into the tree there, just prompting me. And here you can see it's moved those two files, so that's drag and drop. I'm actually using a keyboard just so that you can see what I'm doing, but clearly you could use touch. It's obviously optimized for touch. That's one of the main selling points for the devices. If you've got touch, it's a really great experience. So another way of doing those copy and pasting is I could press and hold, and that brings up a menu, and I can do these options directly from here. And if I do move copy to, I could also get that by using right click if I had the mouse. If I do move copy to, then that brings up a second window, and then I can navigate in here and go to another folder, and then I can select refresh or move or copy to move the file, and obviously I can refresh that folder. The nice thing about this is it keeps its state. So if I'm in here and I select another one and go to move copy, it's still got saved pictures remembered. So it's a way of sort of having two folders on the go, and you can copy and paste things between the two folders quite quickly. When you're using copy and paste, you can also use Control-V, Control-C, so the keyboard shortcuts work as you'd expect. If you notice here, I've not got my C drive on here. That's a modern file, a modern app or universal app restriction. They can't access your C drive by default. You actually have to go through a Windows dialog to grant permission to the app to see your C drive. So if we click on Add Favorite Folder, it's going to suggest that you use your C drive rather than C projects. And so if I go in here and select C and select folder, I can now add my C drive, and now I've got it in the left-hand window here. And I can also drag this around and move it up and down and put it elsewhere in the list. So that was a feature that a lot of people requested, was being able to reorder this list. So now I've got my C drive in there. I could also add a USB drive. I could add a network drive. So if we want to just quickly add a network drive, I can go on here and click add. I can either navigate to it via the dialog here. So if I go to, whoops, I just dropped it, sorry. If I go to network, you see it's showing me my network devices, and I can go on there and I can put, say, my D drive on there. Whoops, what did I do wrong? Oh, sorry, yeah. I can put my D drive on there and select that folder, name it as D, and now I've got access to all my files on my other machine, and you can see it's picking up images and things, and I can obviously cut and paste from a network share. If I use a USB drive, it also supports associating Modern File Explorer with the USB drive, so when you plug in the USB drive, it automatically starts Modern File Explorer. The first time you do that, you have to grant Modern File Explorer permission to that folder, so it will pop up the add favorite dialog, which is sometimes a bit confusing, but once you've added it, the next time you insert the drive, it'll pop up. If you notice here in the breadcrumb, we've got a breadcrumb across the top that's showing us where we are in the hierarchy. This is actually editable. If I click on this edit button, then I can back off here, and this works just like Desktop Explorer, and I can navigate and go to different folders on the drive. So that's a nice way of doing it. You can also paste into here. So if I had a path that I'd got from somewhere else, I could paste that into here, and it would navigate straight to that folder. Also, if I wanted to pin a folder, I could pin it to the start screen or change the folder that Modern File Explorer uses when it first starts up. I can pin that to the start screen, click pin, and now if I go to the start screen, you'll see that I've now got Harry Potter pinned to my start screen, and when I click that, it's going to go straight to that location, and obviously I can unpin that as well. So another thing is exe files. If I go, say, to Program Files, Intel, Graphics, go to Uninstall, I'm going to find an exe file to demonstrate this with. We've got Setup exe. If I click that, it says Windows Store apps are not allowed to launch exe files. That's true. That's a restriction on all Universal apps. There's no way around that. They're not allowed to launch exe files. So I've added someone gave me some feedback and said, how about an open folder button? So you click on open folder, and it now opens it in Desktop Explorer, and you can now click on the file and launch it. So a nice little workaround there for exes. There's also OneDrive support. OneDrive and zip files are now included in the base license, so they're not extra cost. So if we click on OneDrive, you now see the contents of my OneDrive. And I treat it like a big USB stick in the sky. So basically, you just cut and paste things from. There's no synchronization or anything, but I can launch files from here, and they get downloaded to my machine. And this might take quite a while because I've got quite a lot on my SkyDrive camera roll. And you can launch them, and it'll pick them up and view them in the default viewer. So I'm going to abort that because that's going to take too long. So if we go to Pictures, just to show you the picture viewer, here's the picture viewer. So I can click through pictures and view pictures. This works with pinch and zoom. This was my study, rather untidy study. I can pinch and zoom. I can use Control Wheel on the mouse, or I can use the buttons to do that, to scroll the picture in and out. And there's also a full screen mode. So again, I can go full screen. Nice picture viewer there. So if I, we've also got a PDF viewer. So if I go to my C demo folder, we can go into one of these folders and pick a PDF file, and that should open the PDF file. So now we've got the PDF file open, and we can read the PDF file. And again, we can zoom in and out with pinch and zoom. And I've implemented printing, so you can hit print, and it'll bring up the print dialog, and you can print the document, do multiple copies, etc. From there. Again, this also has a full screen mode, so we can go into full screen, and I can swipe through the pages like that. And again, just to exit, you just hit the back button on the screen. So I don't know if anybody was watching, but if you notice, some of these folders actually had custom images, so you can actually customize the folder image that's used for folders. One of my customers requested that, so I implemented that. The way that works is if I open this folder in Desktop Explorer and go into that first folder, then you can see here I've actually got $1.first PNG. That's an undocumented feature. Basically, you can set the image that Modern File Explorer uses for the folder names, and you can create some quite nice effects on there. Also, URL files is also another undocumented feature. Normally, modern apps aren't allowed to access URL files to launch IE and launch shortcuts, but if you rename them to URI, so the extension should be URI instead of URL, then Modern File Explorer will recognize that and will launch the URL for you. So a couple of undocumented features there. We've also got tile view. So if I go in here and I click on tiles, we get this nice tile view with the size and the folders, the types and the dates and things like that. And then I can also sort that by size, for example. So I can click on sort by size, and now you'll see that all the zero length files are coming at the beginning. And if I click sort by size again, then it sorts it descending. So now all the big ones are at the top. And the little ones are at the bottom. That's quite a bit slower than sorting by name. So you should put that back to name if you want Modern File Explorer to be nice and performant. Also, when you're launching pictures, I have actually seen some problems with the file associations. If you want to launch the picture outside of Modern File Explorer, in the default app, so you can change whether you use the internal viewer or the external viewer in preferences. So I can say here picture viewer external, and that will launch an external app. But I've noticed that some file formats, the default is IE, and there's a restriction that if the default is IE, then modern universal apps aren't allowed to launch IE. So that it just gives you a security error, and you can't change that. So if you want those to work from within Modern File Explorer, change the default from IE to something else. I've tried to imply that in my error messages to make that a little bit clearer, but I had a few people have trouble with that. So if we go back to my demo folder, I can do a search, for example, for JPEGs. So here's the search feature, JPG. And that'll show me all the JPEG files in the hierarchy, and I can clear the search. Another way of getting to that search box rather than clicking on it and typing is I can just start typing. So if I just type test, hit enter, then that'll give me all of the test files. So I just literally started typing and it went straight into the box. So that's searching and just type. Zip files. Zip file support, as I said, is now included in the base package, so there's no extra cost there. So if I go in here, I can go into a zip file. So you see here it's selected on the left, and it's showing me the contents of the zip file. So this is what's actually inside the zip file. So I can go into the zip file. I can select some files from there, do a copy, and then, for example, go back to my pictures folder and go into save pictures. That was a nice folder to use. Just waiting for it to refresh. So now I can say paste, and now it's going to copy those out of the zip file into here. And I could obviously do the other way around. I can copy files and insert them into the zip file. So if I want to create a new zip file, I can just click here, plus new zip file, and give that a name, test.zip. And then I can copy files, copy a file, go into the zip file and paste those in there. And it'll put, that's how you compress files and copy them in there. So I'm actually using a library for the file compression support. It supports RAR files and TAR files and gzip and 7-zip files. Those extra formats are read-only, so the only files you can actually create with Modern File Explorer are zip files, and you can't modify the contents of TAR and gzip, etc. But really nice to be able to access TAR files, and sometimes you get emails with attachments that are TAR files, and you can access those quite nicely with Modern File Explorer. Some formats don't open, and because I'm using a library, I'm a bit restricted as to being able to fix that. So bear with me. I'm looking at possibly using a different library to get all possible formats there. So that was zip. Just checking my list, see if there's anything else that I haven't covered. Oh yes, the home button here. So if I click on home, that just collapses everything on the left-hand side. We've also got tabs. So if I go into, say, this demo folder and I click the plus button at the top, that's added demo to here. So now when I'm somewhere else on my file system and I click demo, then that pops up and that will take me there. And I can delete it by clicking the delete button. If I want to remove something from the list, say a music folder, I want to remove it, a plus button appears, delete button appears when you select it. I can click delete, and then I can go back in here, and if I want to add it back in again, I can go back into preferences, and you'll see there's the music, and I can click it and it comes back. So I think that's everything. One more thing, drag and drop. I'm not sure if I showed you that, being able to drag to the desktop. So if I go into one of my folders, so if we go into here, I can pick a file up and I can drop it on the desktop, copy it to the desktop, and I can pick folders here and drop them back onto there, and that works very nicely. That was not possible on Windows 8, so that's a Windows 10 only feature. I think I've covered everything. As I say, if you've got any questions or any feedback, always great to hear from you. Send me email and I will respond. Thanks for listening, and give me a 5 rating. Thanks very much. Bye.